To Sunday Live. I want to start from the background of that story, talking about terror, and link it to the upcoming police recruitment, which in fact was fast-tracked by the President on these very grounds. Given the changing nature of the threats to the country, are there any plans to make the recruitment exercise more sophisticated so that you're getting individuals who can respond with the wherewithal to the changing nature of crime?
Yes, that the assumption is the way you put it. Like it's these 10,000 people who are going to be recruited tomorrow, who would actually be doing work like anti-terror work. I can assure you that we have very specialized units within the service, as it were, which are very good in anti-terror work. You don't grow a police officer overnight. These recruits are really going to be the hand people who are really going to put boots on the ground, to put physical security in place. So in terms of the qualified people who can deal with anti-terror tactics, we have a whole unit, and it's an extremely good unit for that purpose.
Tell us what specifically you'll be looking for tomorrow, and what plans you've put in place to ensure specifically there isn't a repeat of the allegations of corruption that marred the previous exercise.
Right. First of all, this recruitment has been delegated to the Inspector General. The whole thing around the Inspector General's delegation is to make sure that all those in the panel are actually police officers of gravity, of seniority. In which regard, therefore, should there be any slip-ups, we have the direct function of taking action against them, unlike having other government functionaries being in charge of the panel. Not only that, we have a proper paper audit, registration of every stage, which if you reverse backwards, you can catch any anomaly very speedily and actually pinpoint who could have done what was not supposed to have been done. And this wasn't previously there? It was there, but this time it is backed with regulations in place. And we've learned a lot from previous mistakes. You always learn something whenever you repeat an exercise. You've talked about, being able to, double back and see if an anomaly was made and by whom, but in regards to the 36 alleged centers, where, the 36 centers where it's alleged that corruption took place, has any action been taken against those believed to have perpetrated? You see, the problem is we can't take any action. Otherwise, we would have prejudiced the High Court's decision, which now we have gone for appeal. It was a very sad thing for that recruitment to have been so stopped by the courts through IPOA's action. Had it not been the case, we were to repeat the 36 centers, and we would have taken very serious action. But imagine now taking action against those who are found culpable, and we have a court case which is hanging. Either way, it would prejudice the court's decision. But should we get the decision on 8th May, whichever way it goes, we are surely going to take action against those we thought and we have investigated and found were culpable for that fiasco. Right, I want to move forward to the question of the journalists who were beaten by GSU officers this weekend. They were on lawful duties pursuing a story. We have heard nothing from your commission. Why is that? You see, our commission does not deal with complaints from the public against misdeeds by the police officers. We have two units to do that. An internal unit called Internal Affairs Unit, which is run by the police, which is independent of police operations. But more critically, this is exactly the core mandate of IPOA. IPOA is supposed to be seized of this case by now, to investigate on the ground, and all IPOA does at the end of the day is to make recommendations as to what action needs to be taken. The recommendations are given to the Police Service Commission. We are the ones who have the power and the mandate to fire these police officers acting on information received, which have been investigated. And that information is not yet forthcoming, but we will certainly be pursuing it. I want to move quickly to the question of the Police Air Wing Commandant, Roger Simbithi. Now, he has said that he broke no ground rules by allowing his family on that plane, which has generated controversy because it was expected to be part of the operations of the Recce Squad in the aftermath of the Garissa University attack. Despite his claims, the question remains, why is it that an official plane would be used for whatever personal purpose? What is the position of your commission on this, and how are you following it up? The position is very clear in public service. You cannot use public facilitation to do private work. Should it happen that can be brought out after investigations are done by the Inspector General. He's seized of the matter and is taking it very seriously. Should that happen, and certain actions need to be done against that one, corrective in terms of discipline, then the disciplinary function, which principally sits with the Inspector General, would have to come to the Commission for the backing. And I can assure you that we'll give the Inspector General the full backing on the recommendations he will come up with.
So still a wait-and-see game. Finally, as we wind up, the general feeling, and based on all these questions that I've been asking you about corruption in the force, misuse of official instruments, be it etc., the feeling is that the work of the Police Service Commission really hasn't borne fruit. There are no real police reforms. Corruption continues unabated. Brutality continues. Is this a failure on your part?
I think that's not been fair, because if you look at the mandate of the Commission, it's largely on human resource matters in terms of recruitment, appointments, in terms of having oversight over transfers, having oversight over promotions, putting in place regulations to make sure that these things are done so that there is no despondency in the service, and to ensure that disciplinary mechanisms are done in the proper manner. We've done a lot of groundwork. The problem is it's a very tall building. You need to have a very firm foundation. We've done the foundation now. The building will soon become visible. So it's quite unfair to say that, because it's really not understanding the mandate of the Commission.
I thank you for your time and your views.
Thank you.
Now, would you travel in a car